To this story now, DA Gauteng leader Solly Msimanga has thrown his name in the hat for the position of the party's federal chairperson. Msimanga has promised to focus on provincial, regional and ground structures to improve the party's performance at the polls. He joins us now for more. Solly, thank you so much for your time and a very good evening to you. Now, this is a position that you vied for in 2018 and lost, but you say it's different this time around. What's the difference?
Well, thank you very much, Masa, and good evening to you and good evening to the viewers. I think now I come with experience of having led the party at the provincial level for almost 2 terms now. You'd remember that we had an exodus of a number of leaders that propelled me to take over the position in 2018, 2019. And I had actually then built or rebuilt with a team. Gauteng, as you would know, that some of another political party, when it was formed, it actually then took a lot of our activists, which means that our branches had to be started from scratch in a lot of places. Now I'm here, standing, and the party knows, how we've been able to rebuild structures, how we have actually then, regained the lost ground that, that happened in 2019. And I think this is something that, put me in a very good stead in terms of what we have been able to then achieve. And we can then go and say, if we have been able to build this in Gauteng, what more can we do at a national level? And this allows me to then carry on with the things that I said I wanted to do in 2018 when I contested.
Now, you are vying for the position of a federal chairperson. Why that position in particular? Why not the leader? Why not federal chair of council?
Well, look, I mean, as I said, there's something that I wanted to do with this position in 2018. For me, the position, I think, can be used, to complement the leader, can actually be used to then be the other face of the party, that is able to then go out there, do the groundwork that needs to be done, that can be out there to meet, as the incumbent has been doing, meeting with, international relations officers or ambassadors, meet with organizations and make sure that we're able to then build relations. I don't have a reason why, we shouldn't be able to then build the relations with other organizations that share a similar passion and a vision for South Africa, to work. I would want to meet with, organizations such as the Black Business Forum, Solidarity Africa Forum. I would want to meet with organizations, traditional leaders, and see if we are able to then build a relationship and understand where, we find, South Africa, and how do we then take it forward. And these are something that I would want to use this position to be able to then do, and obviously be able to then campaign for the party as we go into the 2026 and then later on into the 2029 national elections.
Now, you also said when accepting this nomination yesterday that to become the majority party, we have to win the majority of voters. We have to align our resources and empower ground structures. Now, when you're talking about the majority of voters, the demographics of this country is obviously mostly African and Black. Now, when you're looking at the current DA leadership of the 11 federal leaders, 6 of them are men, 8 of them are white, only 2 women, 1 Indian man, and no women of color whatsoever. But you're also trying to appeal to this demographic that it's not reflected in your current leadership. How are you going to come across that obstacle and face it?
Well, I think you are looking at the DA from a narrow perspective, Masa, if you were to then look at it in just that box. But I can guarantee you can go and look at every council. You can go and look at the legislature. You can go and look at, the representation in parliament as well, and tell me if there's any other party that has the diversity, like the Democratic Alliance has a diversity. But I think going further than that, there's always been the challenge about, whether we are representing, all communities. And I do take, that point that we need to then look, as I said, the people that we want to then represent. And that is everybody. So we are actually working around that. And this is why, beyond the issue of what the top 5, if you may call it, I'm also, advocating for ensuring that there is better training, better resourcing of our structures. I think in Gauteng, as an example, we have the largest, party structures, the largest branches of the DA anyway. And we want to then make sure that also that find expression in terms of how decisions are taken at a federal level. So people must be able to then have a say in terms of how the DA then runs itself. As a federal party, I do believe that, there needs to be, a space for people to be heard and people to feel like they are being appreciated. Lastly is the issue about how do we also then ensure that we empower our own councillors as well. Of late, I've had to bury 2 of our councillors because of stress of, working in municipalities where there is a demand, of them to be able to then deliver services. Even when we are in opposition, there is demands that we should be able to then do something. And they're not able to then always get the residents the answers. And we've had the last councillor dropping and dying of a heart attack because of what was happening. So this is something that we also want to then ensure that the councillors that we do have that are really serving the people do get the support that they should be getting from the party as well. And this is why I'm doing what I'm doing now, Masa.
And I know you've just, clarified, the leadership and diversity at, province level, in parliament and also at a local government level, but leadership at federal level also does matter as well. And that has been a sore thorn for the DA. As a black prominent leader in the DA, looking at that year that you speak of, that you came in, where there was an exodus as well, the criticism has also been that the DA hasn't been able to retain much of its black leaders. We saw the mass exodus. We've also heard about, the colloquial jokes about sending them to Harvard or once the DA is done with you. As a black leader in that party, looking for a very prominent position, are you at all wary of history that has happened to other black leaders and also the dynamics that are currently there?
Well, Masa, of a number of leaders that have left, I can tell you that, what transpired and what gets to be said are 2 different things. And I don't want to go into that because, it will take us a long day to unpack, individually why people then had the real reason that people left. But be that as it may, I agree that, there is that fear. And this is something that we have to work around. People look at the DA and says, I like the ideas that the DA are putting forward. I like the fact that, the DA is talking to the same issues that are very much close to my heart. But I just don't trust what I'm seeing, and I don't trust what I've heard. And these are things that we are going to continue to address. And also, I think it's an issue about, how do you then ensure that those that do have genuine concerns, whether you're black, white, Indian, or colored, how do we then address that? But there's something that I want to then raise here, Masa, is that it looks like the DA will be held to a very different standard to any other political party, which is a very worrying trend. No any other party, when it has people that leave it, then there will be a term of exodus that will be used. I mean, we can look at MKF change, its chief whips now for how many times? 4 or 5 times in the last 4 months. We can look at how Herman Mashaba has now lost 50 people at one go this past week. But you don't hear the media talking about this being mass exodus and all of that. And this is why I'm saying it looks like perhaps there is certain titles or certain expectations that are only reserved for the DA to a degree which is unfair.
Well, Solly Msimanga, thank you so much for your time and good luck with your nomination and race there for the leadership of a federal chairperson.